Hello, gorgeous beings of light. This is Elmara coming to you from some spectacular part of Bonogan that I just found. Some lovely lady was giving away 3 litres of freshly poured worm wee, and I was off up here to pick it up for my garden. But it's a long time since I've done a video like this, so I hope I've got it right. And I wanted to share with you anyway. I don't know if you can hear all the magical birds, but there's just birds singing everywhere here. And I just wanted to share with you about something that happened a few years ago. So some of you know I'm in a bit of a life pickle, which I have already sorted. I'm just waiting for it to show up in the physical. But it wasn't always like this, obviously, and I wanted to share with you how, there's quite a number of things that got me to this point, but this is the biggest thing. So I just want to share this life experience with you. So some time ago, around 2016, 2017, I think it was, but I moved into a beautiful home on 1 acre that had 180-degree ocean views, a wraparound veranda, and I moved in with this lady that I didn't know smoked dope until the night before we were moving in, and we had already signed all the leases, so and I had nowhere else to go anyway. And we were good friends at the time we moved in, but the dope was a red flag to me. So anyway, within 5 weeks, it all turned to poop, as it does when you live with me, because your poop will come to the surface. But it was mostly because, from my point of view, her son was trying to hurt my dog Jack. And when I got Jack, he was so scared. He would carry and wee if you went down to pat him. And it took me a couple of years to get him to be a really trusting dog. And here this kid was trying to push him off fences or whatever. So anyway, the motherly instincts in me took over and I went berserk. But anyway, what I wanted to share with you is that, 5 months into an 18-month lease, I realised I was in trouble. And I looked for about 5 months. Might have been a bit longer than that, actually. It might have been about 8 months into it. But for 5 months, I looked and looked and looked and looked for somewhere else to live. And everywhere I found somewhere else to live, I didn't have the money. And then when I had the money, I couldn't find anywhere else to live. It was one of those high areas on the south coast of New South Wales that was a big holiday area. So anyway, so after 5 months of not finding anything and yelling at God, I was just like, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And they went, maybe there's something here for you to learn. And so I just stopped looking and I began to surrender. And what I found out there was that so this woman would scream at this 13-year-old boy, no wonder he was a rebel, but she would stand outside my door on a whole bloody acre, and they lived down the other end of the house. But in the morning, she would stand outside my door and she would scream at him for like forever. And so if it bothered me, I would raise my frequency to a point where it didn't, because I at some point realized that she was reflecting back to me the parts of me that wasn't healed from my childhood, because I had a very abusive childhood, very aggressive, abusive childhood. And this woman, if she wasn't smoking dope 3 times a day, she considered herself to be deeply spiritual. It always amazes me. But she was only deeply spiritual when she was stoned off her face, and when she wasn't, she was one of the angriest people I've ever met. So time went on, and this is what I kept doing. I kept raising my frequency, and all of a sudden I became really aware that one day I would be free from this woman. At some point, I put a lock on my door that she didn't have a key to, and the only people that did was the real estate agent, and I would only come out of my room. So shortly after I made that decision to work through the stuff that was happening, she got a job, so she was gone from 8:30 in the morning to like 3:34 in the afternoon every day, Monday to Friday, which was fabulous. So I would come out of my room when she wasn't there, but otherwise I had a stash of tuna or biscuits or whatever for the weekend, so that I didn't have to come out of my room and deal with it, because she was always trying to pick a fight. She always wanted to have a big fight, and I was just like, no, I'm going to run my own race. I'm going to live in my own space. So that took about another 5 months of just raising my frequency. And I walked out one day to find her sitting on the floor, but I didn't know she was there. I just walked out and was humming away and get myself a cup of tea, which is what I used to pop out about 2:30, get a cup of tea before she got home. And I didn't see her sitting on the floor, but I heard this horrible, horrible seething. I fucking hate, I can't even say it with the hatred that came out of it. I fucking hate you, you fucking this and you fucking that. I can't wait for you to fucking leave. My whole life's going to be a whole lot fucking better when you leave, and carry on. And I just said, really? Really? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that when I go, your life's going to get a whole lot better? And she goes, another lot spewed out of her mouth. And I said to her, let me tell you something, darling. If you don't deal with the shit that you've got going on in your mouth, what you've got going on, then your life isn't going to get better. Your life's going to get 1,000 times worse when I leave. And I can still see her shaking her head, going, I said to her, if you don't deal with that shit that you've got going on, your life's going to get 1,000 times worse. I can still see her shaking her head, going, I'm dealing, like shocked that I'd said that to her. I'm dealing with my shit. I've got no shit. I said, yeah, it sounds like it. Listen to the shit that just poured out of your mouth. And I just turned around and walked back into my room. But as I walked back into my room, which was like I had it set up as like a pristine environment, as I walked back into my room, I like scared myself, because I had a golden wall of light at my door that I would scan and leave any shit from the house out in the house and walk into the pristine environment. And as I walked in, I was like, oh God, that didn't hit anywhere. Like, I was so aware from head to toe. I scanned myself once I got back in, that there was nothing there. There was just absolutely nothing there. And so I just thought, oh my God, I think I might be done. She used to say the most hurtful things. And in the beginning, I used to react. But after this episode of returning to source for about 5 months, every time she did something, I realised that, oh, I think this is done. So about a week later, a friend came up from Sydney. She gave me a cheque for $1,000 and said it was a gift, which was just, I had no money to pay the rent, so it was just a blessing in disguise. And then the next day, after she left, she said, oh, you can just go to the bank, cash it. But it was so long since I'd taken any notice, other than just going to town shopping and going home, was that the Westpac Bank had been closed for 2 years apparently. So I had to put the cheque in my own bank account and wait for it to clear, which takes 3 days in Australia. As I was leaving to go, I had 2 phones at the time, don't anymore. I have a dual SIM phone card now, so trendy. But as I was leaving, I put, they said to me to put the second phone on record. I was like, what for? And they went, just put it on record, Elle. So I put the phone on record, and I don't know about you, but if you're recording a voice recording, usually it just goes to a blank screen. Both of my phones have always done that, but this particular time it didn't. And that'll become significant in a moment. And so I put the recording on it and went to town to bank the cheque, did some shopping, called into some friend's place on the way home, got home about 3 or 4 hours later. That night, I go out to make a cup of tea, and she's hid the kettle from me. She's hid everything that was hers in the house from me. And I was just so furious. She used my blooming kitchen table and everything of mine, but, she's now hiding the blooming kettle, and it was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. And then the key, we put a key outside in case it was one of those houses that when the door was slammed, there was no way to stop it locking. So if you went outside and it slammed, you were locked outside. So we hid a key outside, but that key disappeared. And her son walked in, and I said to her, where's the key? What happened to the key? And he was like, da, da, da. And she walked in and said something. And just, I can't remember what she said now, but I remember my response really well. And I just went ballistic. I just broke. And I just started to scream at her. I said, "You're the nastiest, most horrible, most negative, most disgusting human being I've ever met. I am. I myself can't wait to get out of here now." And I'm screaming at her like it was like, and it was like I was outside myself going, "What the hell are you doing that for?" And then she goes, "Oh, I've got a house sitter coming." And I respond with, "What the fuck do we need a house sitter for? You know, I fucking live here." "Oh, she's really lovely," she tells me. I said, "I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck." And I'm screaming this at her. I have to tell you that I can't even work up the energy to scream back at her. I should tell you that a friend of mine said, "You need to get some help with this, Elle. You haven't processed it." But I have to tell you, I have, and I'm just really passionate about. If you wait to the end of the story, you will hear what happened and why everything was relevant and why everything is always perfect, even when it doesn't look that way. And she goes, "Oh, she's lovely. You'll really like her." I said, "I don't fucking care. If I wake up tomorrow and there's someone in my house that I pay half the rent for, that I don't know, I'm calling the fucking cops," I said to her. And then I walked out and walked back into my room and slammed the door, and then come back out and remembered that I had the saucepan boiling some water for a cup of tea, and turned that off, threw the pot into the sink, and walked back out again, back into my room, and didn't think anything more of that. So that was Sunday night. Monday night. After I'd banked the check. On Tuesday morning, they got up and went on holidays. It was school holiday time, and her and her son went on school holidays. At 5 a.m. in the morning. So I get up in the morning, meditated, get prompted by Source to check the recording. And I was doing that while I was doing some other worky things. And 45 minutes into it, you can hear her come into our room. She unlocks the door, comes in and is going, "I'll have that, I'll have that." She's going through my cupboards, "I'll have that, I'll have that." She comes, pulls out a drawer, "I'll have that." And pulls out, there were 4 drawers on this great big long desk that I had at the window, and I had this 180-degree view to work with. Gets to the 4th drawer, pulls it out, sees the recorder recording, and you can hear her hesitate. And then she really quietly pushes the drawer back in and tiptoes out and locks the door again. Now, what I understand now is on Monday, because the sun was going, because I'd never lost it before. And she's just going, shh, because she knew she'd broken in. She knew I had recorded, and she might have thought I was angry about that. But at that point, I hadn't found that. What I found out later was the woman she wanted to come house sit was sitting on the veranda, and my outburst had frightened her so much that she didn't come and stay here, which you'll find in a moment was a blessing as well. So and shortly after I find she's broken into my home, I ring my girlfriend. She goes, "Well, why don't you try this?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." She was house sitting. "Why don't you try house sitting, Elle? It should be really, really lovely. We have a lovely time doing it. They're grey nomads, but they have a caravan, so." But then that afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, I get a phone call from one of her friends who says to me, "Oh, Elle, this woman's, let's call her Sally. No, let's just call her Alison, because that was her name. Alison's threatening to slice your throat open. She wants to experience what it's like to kill someone." I was like, "Oh, great." So I ring the police then, and they just say, "Get out of there." So I then start looking for a house. Oh, before that, on the Monday, I'd rang Paul and said to him, "Look, I don't know, but I just have this feeling I may not be here any longer, a friend of mine." I said, "I'd love to catch up with you before I go. If you want to do that, it'll have to be soon." And so he comes back and says, "Oh, I can't come today." I said, "Nor can I. I've got to go to town." I said, "But, I've got things on today." I said, "But let's try and do it this week." And that was the end of that. So on the Wednesday, then I start looking around madly for house sits. I join Aussie House Sitters. Can't find anything because it's only a couple of days away, of course. But I keep looking. And then I just decided I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave by the Friday. And this woman was coming to feed the cat. She was supposed to come night and morning. Blessing to me, she only came at night time. And I walked to the door with a can of food and spoon and gave it to her because I had packing, but left the hallway exactly as it was. And just because if she got into the kitchen, she would have seen that I had, you know, boxes packed up everywhere in the kitchen. So that happened. That will mostly happen on Thursday. On Thursday morning, I wake up. So I'm still kind of madly trying to find somewhere to live, but it's packing up at night time. You know, I then go and get, I wake up on Thursday morning and I get, when I turn my phone on, there's this phone call from this friend saying, oh, Elle, I'm in Mystery Bay, you know, like, let me know when I can come see you, like at 8 o'clock in the morning. He was one of those people who got up wide awake at 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I ring him back and go, oh my God, Paul, I completely forgot about you. I am leaving. I don't even have time to make you a cup of tea, let alone some scones, because I'd promised I'd make him some scones. Anyway, he goes, oh, don't worry about it, Elle. I've got a kilo of prawns and a loaf of bread and some vinegar. Why don't I come out and help you pack and we'll have lunch together? Which again ended up being a perfect thing because my stuff that was in the garage was up on those, you know, galvanized shelves and I couldn't reach them because I'm only 5 foot high. So he came, we got our boxes down off the top shelf. We just taped them all up. I didn't even go through them. I just taped them up and cleared the shelves so the garage. So he actually helped me clean the garage, which I couldn't reach, which was fabulous. We had his prawns and whatever and I think he dug up my roses for me because I gave them away to friends. I had some beautiful antique roses. But anyway, that happened. And then I'd already booked my removalist man, same man who brought me up here, my stuff up here 2 hours before I found this place, or 2 hours after I found this place last year. And he rings me on about 9:30, 10 o'clock on Friday and goes, hey, Elle, we still moving today? I said, oh, yeah, we're still moving. Come and get me. I don't know if you can hear those kookaburras, but they're so fabulous. Yeah, come and get me. I said, I don't know where I'm going, but come and get me. He goes, what do you mean you don't know where? I said, oh, I know where my stuff's going. Here we go. Just let you listen to that if you're from overseas. They're so... Kookaburras. There's our kookaburras having a big sing. It'll be lovely. That's like... their affirmation of spirit kookaburra, so how fabulous is that? And anyway, so he helps me with that. I say to Mick, I know where my stuff's going. I don't know where I was going, but I just knew that I'd get a sit. And that was at about 9:30, and at 11 o'clock I got a phone call back from someone who was 1,000 kilometres away in the Gap out at the Grampians. And they said to me, yeah, come on down, we haven't found anyone. So I finished packing up. I was going to leave on the Saturday, but I was so exhausted I stayed at a friend's place, or at her friend's Airbnb, which was next door to her place. I stayed the Friday and the Saturday night, and I left on the Sunday morning early. Drove to Melbourne, which was about 10 hours away, and then drove the other 4 hours out to the Grampians on the Monday. I was a day late, but, like it was 1,000 kilometres away. And everything just turned to gold after I left. As I'm driving, I stop for lunch in Lakes Entrance, and a friend of mine cooked me the most beautiful Thai beef salad. I get to Melbourne, another friend's cooked me a roast lamb. And then the next day I drive out to the Grampians. But while I'm driving to Melbourne, I get a call to take a 2-month sit after that one finished. And I just went from that one to her place and did the 2-month sit for I don't know, I think it was 2 dogs, 5 cats, 2 goats, 4 horses or something. Big farm sit for 2 or 3 months. And then before that sit even finished, I was booked up for 8 months in advance or something. It was really quite incredible. So that was what I did. And what I realise now, time has passed, is that I was just leaving pockets of light from Melbourne up to the south coast, or Nowra in New South Wales. It was really quite special. But I didn't know that at the time. I was just kind of doing what was being presented to me. And so what I wanted to say to you is that when it looks like the poop is hitting the fan, sometimes it does. That's not what's happening. Sometimes it's because you're moving somewhere else. God does not close a door without opening a window. And the best thing you can do when something really shitty looks like it's happening, or even if someone does something shitty that causes you to be in a state of having to move in a hurry or whatever that is, it doesn't matter what it is, try to stay in the light. Not try, but stay in the light if you can. Breathe, connect to source, and ask them what's the next step, and ask them to present it. Now, all the way through that story, I didn't, and I left on the Friday, took videos of it, wrote to the real estate agent and said, you endangered my life, because I had got in and seen them by giving her that key. And I said, I all but told you, that my life was in danger, and you just dismissed me and you believed her, and you're about to find out what the truth is. I've taken videos of the property. She's going to tell you I've left it a mess, but I have videos of it. And so all of that and all that got sorted out in the next wee while. The police said that I could charge her with stealing if I wanted to. But the point about that is that it would, if I'd done that, then I would have had to go back there to go to court and all of that, and I just never wanted to see her again. It was just stuff. A friend of mine going, but you should fight for your rights, whatever. It's just stuff. It was just physical things, which came back to me. God, I've lived here in this house for 12 months, and I was given everything when I eventually moved here, like from beautiful people around the area. They have a Pay It Forward Bonogan page, and everybody's always giving stuff away. And I'm about to leave, and I'm going to give all that stuff that was given to me away to someone else, because there's no point in taking it with me. It's served its purpose. So what I want to remind you is there is always something greater happening, even when the dark stuff looks like it's happening. And if you can't move, then just keep going into the light until you raise yourself out of the situation that you're in, until you can, be somewhere else and do something, But if you stay connected to source and understand there's a reason for everything, when you've eventually raised your frequency out of there, your life will change. It'll change by itself. It was assisted. My friend came and gave me that $1,000, which I didn't end up spending on rent, which worked out perfectly because I didn't pay the 2 weeks rent, and there was some money I owed for electricity, and I think I was out about $50. But if it hadn't happened if I'd paid the rent, I would never, ever, ever have got my $800 bond back from this woman, because that was the kind of woman she was. So even that worked out perfectly. And so that then taught me that even it was probably one of the worst situations in my life I'd been in, and yet it all became this most incredible blessing. And I was so looked after by Source when time came, when I finished learning my lesson, and it came time to go, because she didn't come back from holidays. Had I not screamed, that's the other thing I want to point out, had I not screamed my lungs out at her on that Monday night, that other woman would have come and stayed, and she would have rang her and told her I was packing up to leave, and then I would have had all these hassles trying to leave. And, like the next time I had to leave somewhere, a similar situation happened where the people were gone. I just got to pack up and leave. And the same thing's going to happen here. I'm going to get to pack up and leave, and I'm sure these people are going to be away for Easter, which is just going to be absolutely friggin' fantastic. So I just want to let you know that stay in the light, raise your frequency up, ask and seek the highest solution. Don't go to the lowest solution. Just seek for more peace, more love, more joy, and more light, and ask, why is this happening for me? Why is this happening for me? Not why is this happening to me, but why is this happening for me? Alrighty, I really trust that this is of great benefit to you. I so look forward to speaking with you again. I'll let you know as soon as my big miracle happens. It's about to happen. It's happened. It's about to show up in the physical, and I will come back to you in the next month, but I just want to leave you with something inspiring to listen to, and I'm sending you out this time of, great change that's happening on the earth. I'm sending you out tons and tons of love and light, and even with what's happening in the world, don't get caught up in we're going into a world war. Don't get caught up in the whole COVID stuff, and round 4 coming around here for us. Just keep raising your frequency up into the light and stay in the light. Oh, that sun's disappeared a little bit. You can see the picture of the trees just so much better. But anyway, love, love, love. My deepest love and richest blessings to you all. I truly look forward to being with you again shortly, and I hope you enjoyed this beautiful video, and especially all of the wonderful, wonderful, wonderful kookaburras having a sing right in the middle of it. When kookaburras sing, it's a blessing from Spirit. So I'm going to forward that blessing to all of you, and I truly look forward to being with you again soon. Namaste, yes, bye-bye. Bye for now.